Welcome to Royal Secret. King Frederick and Queen Mary of Denmark joined others world leaders in Vatican. As the sun rose over Vatican City, casting golden light onto the cobblestones, the ancient bells of St. Peter's Basilica tolled with a clarity that seemed to split time itself. It marked the beginning of a new era. Pope Leo XIV, newly elected leader of the Roman Catholic Church, was about to be formally inaugurated, and the world's monarchs were watching. Not watching from afar, mind you, they were there, in person. Queen Mary and King Frederick of Denmark arrived in dignified silence, Queen Mary donning a bespoke navy silk coat dress and the famous pearl and diamond brooch gifted by Queen Margrethe. The symbolism was impossible to ignore. With Queen Margrethe recently retired, this was Queen Mary's most visible moment yet on the global religious stage. Next came King Felipe VI and Queen Letizia of Spain, walking with reverent calm. The Spanish royals, whose nation's history is intertwined with the papacy, were seen exchanging a solemn nod with the Vatican's Cardinal Secretary of State. Crown Princess Victoria of Sweden, curtsying ever so slightly before taking her seat, represented the bridge between tradition and modernity. Her attendance was not only diplomatic, it was deeply personal, as Sweden's Lutheran monarchy maintained ties to the Catholic Church in a symbolic gesture of Christian unity. Even royals from non-Christian countries made appearances. The Crown Prince of Morocco, flanked by advisors, greeted the Holy See's ambassadors in Arabic. The move sent a clear message. Interfaith respect was not only necessary, it was expected. But this wasn't just about faith. This was about influence, visibility, legacy. For centuries, the papacy has wielded soft power that even kings could envy. So when a new pope is chosen, particularly one like Leo XIV, known for his progressive worldview and quiet charisma, monarchs pay attention. Behind the scenes, palace advisors and royal chancellors had worked for days to choreograph every movement, every angle of approach, every diplomatic phrase. This wasn't a casual mass, it was a geopolitical ballet, with the eyes of the Catholic faithful and the cameras of the world trained on the Vatican. The British royal family, notably absent, sparked waves of speculation. With King Charles undergoing treatment and the monarchy embroiled in controversy, no senior royal made the trip. The Vatican, as diplomatic as ever, avoided comment. But the absence spoke volumes. Instead, it was Princess Charlene of Monaco who stole part of the spotlight. Dressed in white, a privilege granted to Catholic queens and princesses under the traditional privilege du blanc, Charlene embodied elegance, but her silence was louder than any words. Her presence was not only sanctioned, it was symbolic. The Japanese imperial family, though non-Christian, sent Crown Prince Fumihito as a sign of cultural respect. Japan and the Vatican share a long diplomatic history dating back to the 16th century. His carefully chosen words, translated through 3 interpreters, focused on peace, environmental stewardship, and mutual understanding between East and West. So, who is Pope Leo XIV, and why does he command such global attention? Born Cardinal Giacomo Leone in Florence, the 68-year-old was once a quiet reformer known for his compassion toward refugees, his love for classical literature, and his firm stance against corruption in the Church's inner workings. His election stunned insiders not because he was unknown, but because he was unexpected. While many cardinals had lobbied for a more conservative or institutional candidate, Leo XIV emerged as a compromise that bridged generations. Youthful enough to modernize, wise enough to reassure traditionalists, he is seen as a pope who will reshape the Church for the 21st century, addressing crises of faith, rebuilding trust in the Vatican, and embracing global inclusivity. No wonder royals, ever sensitive to the tides of public opinion and spiritual authority, came in droves. And it was in that context that the world watched, breath held, as Pope Leo XIV emerged onto the balcony, clad in white, his voice calm but commanding. "Let us walk together, people of all nations, of all faiths. For peace, for dignity, and for the sacred gift of life," he proclaimed, extending his arms to the crowd. Thunderous applause erupted, but it was the dignified nods from the royals, those stoic, polished representatives of national identities, that made headlines. Of course, what the public saw was only part of the story. Inside the Apostolic Palace, beyond the velvet ropes and gold-leafed corridors, private meetings were scheduled with surgical precision. Royals met with Vatican officials behind closed doors, where tradition gave way to realpolitik. King Philippe of Belgium, a devout Catholic, reportedly held a quiet discussion with the Pope about the role of religion in education. Queen Maxima of the Netherlands, a Catholic in a largely secular monarchy, was seen smiling after a 20-minute meeting with Vatican representatives focused on international aid partnerships. And in what insiders described as a remarkable moment, Queen Mary of Denmark and Crown Princess Victoria of Sweden were invited for a joint audience, a gesture laden with diplomatic nuance. Was it a nod to the growing influence of Nordic monarchies in European diplomacy? Or perhaps a subtle effort by Pope Leo XIV to forge stronger ties with Protestant-leaning regions? The Vatican refused to comment, as always. But seasoned observers knew, these gestures were not random. While the elder monarchs played their part, it was the younger generation of royals that captured global attention. Princess Isabella of Denmark, just recently celebrated for her poised 18th birthday, made her first solo international appearance. She walked beside Queen Mary with a grace far beyond her years. Observers noted her attention to protocol, her fluent English in interactions with clergy, and her respectful demeanor throughout the Mass. Princess Leonor of Spain, still in military training, did not attend, but messages from Zarzuela Palace confirmed she had sent a personal letter of congratulations to the Pope. Even Prince Christian of Denmark, soon to become Crown Prince, sent a symbolic message through his father's speech during a private Vatican dinner, emphasizing unity across cultures and the strength of shared values. The message was clear: a new chapter of monarchy is being written, and this papal inauguration is one of its first pages. Inside the Apostolic Palace, past the Swiss guards and the hushed corridors lined with centuries of papal art, Queen Mary of Denmark was escorted to a private chamber. This meeting, one of the most anticipated of the day, was cloaked in mystery, but what emerged afterwards sent ripples through both royal and religious circles. According to close Vatican aides, Queen Mary's conversation with Pope Leo XIV lasted more than 25 minutes, unusually long, considering the day's tight schedule. No photographers, no reporters, just two global figures, one in pearls, the other in white, discussing what sources later described as shared humanitarian goals and Europe's spiritual crossroads. Queen Mary, now firmly stepping into her role as Denmark's queen consort and modern moral compass, reportedly spoke about climate diplomacy, refugee resettlement, and youth engagement, issues she has championed across Scandinavia. But her conversation with Pope Leo XIV didn't end there. Some Vatican sources whispered that Queen Mary handed the Pope a handwritten letter from Princess Isabella, expressing a young royal's admiration for the Holy See's advocacy for peace. If true, it signals a stunning level of symbolic alignment between Denmark's next generation of royals and the evolving leadership of the Vatican. What was the Pope's response? Nothing official was said, but when the Queen re-emerged into the St. Damasus courtyard, she smiled, not a public relations smile, but one of warmth, perhaps even relief. The moment felt quietly historic. This inauguration wasn't just about religion. It was a gathering of sovereign soft power, a summit without the politics, yet heavy with political consequence. Throughout the day, palace couriers dashed between locations. Briefcase handoffs, whispering advisors, and hurried translations painted the unseen backdrop of the Vatican's stately exterior. Each royal attending this mass brought with them a message, often unspoken, but universally understood. King Felipe of Spain quietly met with representatives from the Latin American Bishops' Council, sparking rumors that Spain may strengthen ties with post-colonial Catholic states to counterbalance rising secularism. The Grand Duke of Luxembourg, arriving with his wife Grand Duchess Maria Theresa, hosted a private luncheon with Vatican economists to discuss ethical banking and Catholic investments. Even the seemingly neutral Scandinavian royals played a role. Crown Princess Victoria was seen chatting with delegates from the Baltic states, countries where the Catholic population is small, but whose geopolitical role in the new European order is growing. But the most surprising development: a last-minute arrival by Prince El Hassan bin Talal of Jordan, a noted Muslim scholar and interfaith leader. Though not a royal in direct line, his presence at the Vatican inauguration marked a major statement of religious harmony. He was welcomed personally by Pope Leo XIV after the ceremony, signaling the new pope's open-door philosophy. As the images of royal motorcades, papal processions, and glittering tiaras made their way onto social media, the world responded with awe, surprise, and curiosity. Pope Leo XIV trended globally for over 18 hours. TikTok was flooded with side-by-side edits of Queen Mary's entrance and Princess Charlene's white veil, with users debating everything from fashion protocol to the deeper meaning of female royal presence at religious events. One viral video, viewed more than 12 million times, captured Queen Letitia's discreet bow and whispered exchange with the Pope, sending royal watchers into a frenzy of decoding lip movements. Speculation mounted. Had she been entrusted with a message from the Spanish clergy? Or was it a personal blessing for Princess Leonor? In Denmark, national broadcasters cut live to Vatican City, offering minute-by-minute commentary. One anchor put it best: "We are witnessing not just the enthronement of a pope, we are seeing the quiet diplomacy of monarchs unfold in real time." Let's not pretend fashion didn't matter. In a setting this choreographed, what the royals wore spoke louder than many speeches. The privilege du blanc, the unique right for certain Catholic queens and princesses to wear white in the presence of the Pope, was on full display. Only a handful of royals possessed this right, and those who exercised it, notably Princess Charlene of Monaco and Queen Matilda of Belgium, did so with quiet power. Queen Mary chose navy, not black, not white, but a royal blue that signaled confidence without overreach. Royal commentators noted her brooch, the same she wore during Queen Margrethe's final New Year's address, as a signal of continuity and remembrance. Crown Princess Victoria wore deep burgundy, the color of martyrdom in the Catholic tradition, a thoughtful gesture, perhaps signaling Sweden's delicate relationship with Christianity. Her dress bore the royal family's coat of arms discreetly sewn on the hem, a nod to both lineage and presence. And Queen Letizia, a vision in jet black silk, topped with a traditional Spanish mantilla, yet minimal jewelry. A symbolic act of mourning for the past, hope for the future. Even Prince Christian, who did not attend, was discussed in fashion columns for sending a gift to the Vatican, a hand-painted silk tie with Danish royal insignias, a subtle symbol of future engagement. So what does it all mean? For the royals who gathered, this wasn't simply about religion. It was about where monarchy fits in a world evolving faster than tradition can catch up. Pope Leo XIV represents something monarchs understand deeply: the weight of history and the challenge of modernity. Like the crowned heads of Europe and beyond, he leads a figurehead institution that must be both symbol and shepherd, heir to centuries yet relevant in today's global chaos. For many royals, this inauguration became a mirror, a moment to reflect on their own roles, their reach, their relevance. Behind the smiling portraits and choreographed waves, hard questions lingered. Will monarchy evolve to match the Pope's progressive vision? Can tradition and reform coexist in thrones, just as they do in cathedrals? And can today's young royals find spiritual footing in an increasingly secular world? Thanks for watching.